What is going on, everybody? This is Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, cause that's what it is. I hope you guys are having a great start of the week, and in this video we're gonna do a little quick and dirty on the past weekend's Fight Night card, Moreno versus Albazi. Spoiler alert, it was a snoozer. Also, I'm gonna share my theory on why do I think the quality of the UFC events fluctuates this year so much. And then at the end of the video, we're gonna be talking a little bit about newly announced matchup that I'm actually super pumped about. But before we do any of that, guys, do me a favor and make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. It helps the channel massively. And with the housekeeping out of the way, let's jump to the video. So, Fight Night Moreno versus Albazi. If we start from the top, the main event of the evening, Moreno had an incredible performance. That was probably one of his best performances of the career. While Albazi, he sort of seemed kinda a little bit too patient at times. Like, I was missing quite a lot of output, especially in the first rounds, and it really felt like that's what allowed Moreno to catch his pace, catch a rhythm, and he was never really able to catch up after that. He basically gave Moreno the opportunity to get going in the very beginning and do whatever he wanted. The only thing, of course, that was missing in the fight from Moreno was a finish. Moreno was talking about it in the post-fight interview that he was actually pushing for the finish in the 5th round, but Albazi was too tough. But otherwise, man, Moreno is such a badass, and I really wish that this would be the kind of performance that we would get from him in the Royval fight. So I would really love to see that rematch, and I really think that this version of Moreno would beat Royval without any issues. A little coffee break? No. Alright, Rose Namajunas and Erin Blanchfield. Listen, Erin, she is such a great fighter. She was doing a really good job. She did exactly what she had to do in order to win this fight. But man, she won because Rose kept engaging with her in the grappling exchanges. Like, I really don't get it. You're piecing her up in a stand-up. You know that Erin Blanchfield is better than you on the ground, and if you don't know it, you didn't do your homework. We're not really used to getting this kind of faulty decision-making by Rose Namajunas in the octagon. So once again, you're piecing her up in a stand-down. Why would you engage with her on the ground? But also, what happened to Trevor Whitman? Like, that seems a little bit odd to me. Did she change a team? Did Rose Namajunas leave Trevor Whitman? When was that? And why as well? Was it because of the fight where he lost the belt against the... what's her name? Oh, Carla Esparza. Yeah, that was the fight where she thought that she's totally winning, and her corner, together with Trevor Whitman, kept telling her, "Yeah, champ, you're doing great," while she was super inactive and didn't do almost anything in that match. Anyways, old story. Like I said, I didn't exactly catch when Rose Namajunas left Trevor Whitman. If it was because of that fight, I would kinda understand it, but like otherwise, if you look at the rest of her career before that, Trevor was the one who made her a champion. Anyways, Erin Blanchfield would like to fight Alexa Grasso after this fight, and I think that that would be a really good matchup, so I would be really up to see that. Moving on. The rest of the card, mostly a snoozer. I literally had to have SpongeBob the SquarePants on the second screen so that I don't fall asleep. Dude, I think there were only like 3 finishes during the whole evening, and the rest of them were decisions. Dustin Stoltzfus, he really put on a great performance and he got a TKO. Then another finish we got was by Yusuf Zalal, who landed that crazy knee up the middle on Jack Shore and then finished him by submission afterwards. That was actually my favorite performance of the evening. And then we also got a great submission by Charles Jourdain. That was also a great performance. So yeah, these were the 3 finishes of the evening, but the rest of the card felt like it was just going on and on. It was so painful, man, which actually made me think about the fluctuation of the quality of the UFC cards during this year, and I actually think that I have a theory for that. So, a lot of the fans have been complaining about the quality of the UFC events throughout this whole year, me including. It really seems like more than half of UFC events throughout this whole year of 2024 have been pretty damn underwhelming. So we just talked about this past weekend's UFC Fight Night. Then I also remember UFC 301, which was also pretty damn boring. Then recently we had the Tybura vs Spivak 2 event. I think that was in August, and that one was also boring as f***. And so many more. So why is that? In my opinion, and that's my theory, the reason for all this is UFC 300. So why UFC 300, you might ask? Well, if you remember, it had this crazy list of fighters of who is who in UFC. Crazy matchups top to bottom. Like the whole event, the early prelims started with a fight between 2 former champions. Of course, that was that great fight between Cody Garbrandt and Davison Figueiredo. And then during the whole evening, we saw fighters like Bobby Green, Jessica Andrade, Jalen Turner, Renato Moicano, and that's all just early prelims. And then if we continue with prelims and the main card, listen to all the names: Diego Lopez, Kyla Harrison, Aljamain Sterling, Calvin Kattar, Jiří Procházka, Bo Nickel, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Zhang Weili, Alex Pereira, and more. That was insane card, insane lineup. In my opinion, that card completely broke the rhythm for the rest of the cards for the rest of the year, and basically completely messed up the even distribution of these fighters and these matchups for the rest of the year. So for the most part, for the rest of the year, we were left with, well, with what was left. And in my opinion, ever since then, ever since UFC 300, UFC is still kind of trying to recover that. The rhythm and the even distribution of the fighters and the matchups that are basically guaranteed to be fireworks. Because if you think about the fighters that were on UFC 300, all of them are basically machines in delivering super exciting fights. So if you would put any of these matchups in any other UFC event, you would of course automatically lift the quality of those cards. But because all these matchups and these fighters were on UFC 300, and then they needed some time to recover and book some new opponents, they were not present on the UFC Fight Nights and on the other cards. And that's how we got the UFC 301, for example. I'm not saying that there were no other great cards throughout the year, of course there were. I, for example, absolutely loved the event that happened in Sphere. But like, the name value of most of the UFC cards this year was down because of what I just explained. UFC 300 sort of swallowed those matchups and those names. That's my theory. What do you guys think about it? It's totally possible that I'm missing something. I would really love for you guys to let me know what do you think about this theory. Maybe you have a theory of your own. In that case, please share it in the comment section down below. Alright, and now I would like to talk about a new matchup that was just announced that I'm super excited about. So in the last video, we were talking about Shavkat Rakhmonov and his matchup that was cancelled against Belal. We discussed the potential opponents, namely Ian Garry and Kamaru Usman, and I said, well, Kamaru Usman, even though he's being called out by Joaquin Buckley, he actually just shared some footage of him training, and I said that I would much rather see him fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov than Joaquin Buckley. Then Ian Garry was also talking about the potential matchup with Shavkat. He actually reposted an older video in which he's saying that he would welcome the matchup. Well, now we know that it was all for show. He reposted that video because he knew that he's not gonna fight Shavkat Rakhmonov, that he is safe from him. Why is that? Turns out that there's another combination between these fighters that I totally didn't think about. It's a matchup that just got booked, and of course it's Joaquin Buckley versus Ian Garry. And I think that's super funny that once they know that they're about to fight one another, they're talking shit to Kamaru Usman, to Shavkat Rakhmonov, making themselves look so brave that they're calling out these fighters, while all they are doing is that they are building clout for themselves because they know that in a matter of hours their fight is going to be announced. Anyways, regardless of that, I actually really love this matchup. I've become a massive fan of Joaquin Buckley over the past years. Like, some of the rants that guy is having are straight up hilarious. But regardless, I actually think that he's been getting better and better in the past fights, and I think that he's gonna match up against Ian Garry really well. I'm not gonna be surprised if Ian Garry is gonna turn out to be a favorite for that fight, but I really do believe that this is gonna be a banger. Joaquin Buckley is not gonna let Ian Garry to just coast. He's gonna push on him, he's gonna be aggressive, and he's gonna make him fight. Alright guys, this is it for today's video. What did you think about the Moreno Albazi fight night that we just had this previous weekend? Do you have any thoughts on my UFC 300 theory? And are you also excited about the Joaquin Buckley and Ian Garry matchup the same way as I am? Make sure to let me know about all this in the comment section down below. If you like this video, make sure to hit like, but also subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you have any friends that are also into MMA and UFC the same way as we are, make sure to share this video and share this channel so that they can join us. Alright guys, have a great one. This was Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, cause that's what it is.